everyone, and welcome to the Sin Bin. CMB Reggae continues in its mission to bring you the best of reggae in the Mid-Atlantic. Having talked to many artists out there as to who they would recommend locally to attend a show of, our next guest frequently is mentioned. He started playing music as a teenager on the Eastern Shore in Accomack County, Virginia, playing with members of the band Irie Tree in a band called Quad Pot. He moved to Hampton Roads in 2015, where he founded the band Rude Boy Rhythm and has been a staple of the Virginia Beach and Eastern Shore circuit ever since. Despite his Eastern Shore upbringing, his musical style radiates authenticity to the point where he is known as a senior member of the Virginia Beach reggae scene. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Vince Lee to the Sin Bin, and he has some breaking news for us. Welcome to the Sin Bin, Vince. How are you doing today?
What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Okay, so we start off with the basic thing. Give us your 1 minute elevator pitch. What is Vince Lee about? If you came across somebody who was a reggae fan and he was not familiar with your music or your style or your shows, what would you tell him?
I would tell them that we are and I'm speaking as a band member, but I pretty much would classify it between like a mix of the West Coast style of reggae music, which has influenced me a lot, but also the roots side with the dub side in it as well, which influenced me when I was very young. So
Mhm.
that's what you're kind of looking for. That's where I'm at, and also we do bring the jam band feel to it. And when I say that I mean that Vince Lee and the Hustle Shuffle. We have
We have a new band name.
yes, we have a new
We have a
band.
new conglomeration. That's great.
Yep. And
That's
I'm
great.
excited about writing music with these guys, and we have been writing music. So we're looking forward to putting some of that out.
Okay, so before we get to that, let's have a conversation about musical influences. You said that Slightly Stoopid was a very influential part of your life. Um, and I think you're not alone in the artists out there who have the the more deeper palettes really getting into dub and getting
Mhm.
into some of the more non-conventional roots, and you try to integrate that with the other music that you play. I saw the your Dank Dub Spotify
Yes.
song, which was just, I mean, for me, it was pitch perfect.
Awesome.
Definitely an indication of the kind of music that you're gonna play, which is not particularly conventional for Virginia Beach or part of the rest of the down south scene, like Pacifier and Sun Dried Vibes and the other things. You're okay sticking out ground in unique territory, right?
Absolutely. I was influenced by the Yellow Man's, the Sister Nancy's, and then as we, discussed before, Mad Professor. I was introduced to that by a good friend named Max, and of course, growing up and then listening to Sublime or being introduced to Sublime, and then being introduced to Yellow Man, Mad Professor, and those artists, was just you realize where it was all coming from. And so
Hmm.
once I realized, that there were artists using these bass lines and sampling all this stuff uh, from like Yellow Man and the Mad Professor and all those
How
albums, that just made me
let me ask you
push towards
this.
it. Mhm.
How did it feel being a musician who played on the Eastern Shore where this was not an influence or a style that anyone was playing around you anywhere? I mean, in the old days of hardcore, we talked about two things in terms of hardcore scene. There was either a you divert a stream of existing things or you live in a dry well. I would consider the Eastern Shore a dry well when it comes to roots reggae. Not to disrespect Ivory Tree or anything like that, but when you start to get to more of the esoteric stuff, there's not anybody listening to that or performing that for miles around in any direction.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I can, well, I will say this: the right people introduced a couple of us, and I was in a band called Dank, and we were very young when we started, and that the reggae, real roots reggae, wasn't introduced to us until after Sublime, so we didn't really
Hmm,
have that. But
that's interesting.
yeah, and so we and then we picked up on it. But
Mhm.
what it was our friends that surrounded us. When we played any music we played, they always supported us. So one, I think we were influenced by people who showed us the music, um, and then we wanted to play that type of music, and then our friends kind of surrounded us, and then we started playing at parties, and then it kind of caught on to a fire, where we were playing these these backyard parties, kind of
Mhm.
the garage parties and stuff like that. And yeah, and our friends just surrounded us with that love, and they also picked up on it and loved the music as well. And so it was kind of a cool thing to see that we were able to influence others to jump on that music.
It's almost kind of it's kind of like that 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 small vision, that very small vision that Bradley Noel had after
Yes.
coming back from vacation in Jamaica, and saying there's new and different things out there in the world. Let's hope that we can turn it into something, you know?
Absolutely. And he was definitely one of the best to do it, because like, this is why Sublime was so great to me, is that and then, really even after learning that, they were like a cover band, but they were making it their own, right?
Mhm.
And that was a big thing, was, learning that, they were taking samples from all these old reggae records, and it was just like, it was mind blowing. And then of course on the hip hop side, I grew up in the 90s, so having that hip hop
Right,
feel into it just even drove you more, and it made me want to
right.
learn more. It made, it's
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I
So
mean, I think of Secondhand Smoke, and I think of the Get Out remix that came down on that. It's like that was so, it was so innovative. You couldn't even characterize it. You couldn't categorize the song as to what it
no,
was. You know,
absolutely. And even if you think about like the cover of Scarlet Begonias, where they sampled a James Brown drum track,
for a
and
Grateful Dead song,
for a Grateful Dead song, you're
there
like,
was
these
nobody who was
dudes.
ever thinking about doing that before they did
No,
it. No one,
no
no
way,
one.
dude. And it was so
Right.
wild, and especially as a young kid. And of course, I didn't know that it was a James Brown drum track until, later on, after really, really
Mhm.
studying it. But and I just thought it was just unique how they did it. And then and even when I joined the band Quad Pod, Johnny Moe, who I played with for years, like he came from like the DC Maryland area. So his one of his favorite bands was Jawworks. And so like when we connected, it was like we knew already what we were looking for. So that was,
Mhm.
it was a cool thing to see happen, where, I was influenced by a guy named Chandler, who was my friend Mike's cousin, who I was in a band with, but Chandler was the one who was kind of introducing us to like, the Sublimes, the Slightly Stupids, and all sorts of cool new music coming out from the West Coast. And because we didn't have Spotify, we didn't have the we were going into record stores looking for new CDs to buy, and
Yeah.
we just had an older crowd that was above us looking after us, because they knew we loved to play music, and they were like, you all need to check this out. This is what y'all
Good.
y'all will be good at. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move into your life voyage here a little bit. In 2014, you moved to Virginia Beach and you founded Rude Boy Rhythm. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep. Yep.
Okay. And Rude Boy Rhythm consisted of Kevin Flowers on the sax,
Mhm.
Mike Hertzler on the bass, Connor Jansen from One Culture, and David Poole on the drums, who is currently on gigs backing up Ashley LaRue. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, that is correct. And David is still with us at the in the Hustle Shuffle, and so is Kevin. Yeah, but Rude Boy Rhythm was a great time. We had a lot of fun doing it. We played so many shows, and it, it brought us a lot of opportunities where I was able to open up for our favorites like Yellow Man and Common Kings and Hyrie and a lot of the Bumpin' Uglies and Tropidelic and some of those guys coming through before they were selling out shows. And so it's really cool to see those guys doing what they're doing now. But it created an opportunity for us to
Right.
really expand, and it was a great time.
And it was a long time. I mean, you guys were together for what, 8 years, 7, 8 years?
Around 8 years, I guess. Around, yes, about between 7 and 8 years. And we were mostly a cover band. We had a couple originals we break out every once in a while, but like we enjoyed mixing up the covers, like just like we talked about that Sublime did, and trying to make those covers respectfully our own, so there's a different sound to it. And I had such a blast doing that with those guys. It was awesome.
Okay, so Connor Jansen is playing with One Culture now, and David Poole is going to be in the mix in the Hustle Shuffle,
Yeah.
and as well as Kevin Flowers.
Yes, and then we have Russell Nygaard, who is
Rusty
also
Nygaard, Engine Room Russ. Engine Room
yes,
Russ of formerly of the of drumming for Treehouse, and before that of the Livelihoods.
yep,
Another
yep,
man who's had a quite a long tenure inside of Virginia Beach, and due to his involvement with Treehouse, has started to again a much larger following up and down the East Coast.
yes.
And so apparently Rusty has returned to Virginia Beach from Myrtle Beach, and now he's going to be a member of the Hustle Shuffle. That's great to hear.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about what it is you have planned with this new band. You have music that you need to release?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna have some music that's gonna be released probably in the middle of the summer. I'm gonna release a couple singles, and then to prepare for an album. And then I also have some surprises along the way, which I think you'll really love. As I've got some dub tracks that I don't want to give it away yet, but it's going to I'm going to share it amongst some people, and maybe even do like a little mixtape and a real, how people really did it. And back then they would take one beat and then they would put 5 people on it, and then just keep on trucking that way. And I think that would be a fun idea. But I don't want to give it away too much, but been working with Kurt Jansen from One Culture at Third Island Studios on these tracks. I've also got some things lined up for
now Kurt
as
is also the producer for the Virginia Beach venue with the YouTube videos.
He does he used to do the Rising Vibes.
Rising Vibes.
Yep.
I'm having senior moments now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. No, he doesn't. He doesn't do the editing anymore. And not that I think he didn't want to. It's just that he is so super busy. Working with doing so much. It's I'm not saying it's hard for me to even get in there with him, but like it's very timely with him. So yeah, and working on those videos takes a lot of time out. So
got it. Okay. All right. So So okay, let's see. What do you have to plug here? You have you're playing with Native Dread at the Green Parrot on Chicks Beach. When is that?
That is going to be June 20th, which is the weekend of Point
Point
Break.
Break. Point Break,
Yes.
right?
Yep. And so what I'm Native Dread, and I talked to Gabe, and we want to
Gabriel
put.
Meeks.
Yep, Gabriel Meeks. He's a great guy. Shout out to him. Great dude. And we've done shows together before, but I really like those guys. So we're gonna try to put something. Well, we have something put together for that weekend of Point Break. It's not an official Point Break party or anything like that. I just want to say that, but
Hmm.
it'll be a great time because it'll give some other people other places to go if it's if they feel overcrowded or
Hmm.
whatever. And the Green Parrot is a great vibe in there. Like, they just appreciate music, and
Hmm.
they don't care what you're playing. They love the sound. The last time we were in there, people were like, we've never heard stuff like this played here before, and they loved it, which is awesome. That's a
Hmm.
great thing.
That's great. Okay, any other shows you got coming up?
Yeah, I got April 18th. I'll be at the Green Parrot. But two main shows I want to talk about is Ellen J Sessions, from over there in New Jersey. Shout
LNJ's
out.
coming back down to Virginia Beach.
Well, they are going to come down to Chincoteague Island
Chincoteague
with
Island.
us.
Okay.
Yep. And that will be August 30th and 31st. And we're doing 2 nights. We're kind of still deciding who's going to open and who's going to close on either night. It's going to be switched up.
Is
So
that Chincoteague's or
yes,
where?
yeah, it's going to be on Chincoteague Island at Chincoteague, August 30th and 31st. And then October 11th. And now I'm saying these shows kind of get them ahead because
Yeah.
I'm really pumped about this, but it'll be my first time being able to really work with Lionsbridge on a show.
Lions Bridge.
Yeah, and I just have mad respect for those guys because they are awesome.
Hmm.
Javin and the whole crew, they just put on a great show and they play great music. And so I'm really excited about working with them October 11th at Shinky as well. So,
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Well, it's good. It looks like you got some dances on your card. That's great to hear.
yeah, for sure.
Okay. And so between the shows and releasing some dubs from the vault and putting together the Hustle Shuffle in its new formation, looks like you are going to be busy for the next couple months.
Yes, we're going to be very busy. We're preparing for 2026, and hopefully getting on a festival circuit a little bit next year, and maybe and doing some traveling for some shows.
Hmm.
Maybe come up your way, hopefully. And yeah, we're just preparing for that, and I'm getting things in order so we can be successful at that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to the relaxing part of the interview.
All
Okay.
right, all right.
This is the time where I press people a little bit on their politics when I ask their favorites. Um, what what was the best reggae show you've ever seen?
It was not long ago, actually. Very spiritual. It was Kabaka Pyramid and Burning Spear,
Hmm.
and I never got to see a whole show of Burning Spear, and it changed me. Changed
Yeah.
me. Like, it was just insane. But I would have to say that is probably the best reggae show I've ever seen, and I didn't even have to pay a ticket for it. It was a free
Yeah.
show down at the oceanfront, and
The 17th Street stage
yeah,
or
yeah,
yeah.
17th Street stage. And it was like I don't mean this in religious wise, but it was like being at church with your friends and family and having this spiritual experience with Burning Spirit, and it was just amazing, and I'm so glad I got to experience that.
Okay. All right. So the next question is what was the best and most comfortable venue you've ever personally played at?
Mm.
And you can't use home base. as an example.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So not like Tiki's, reggae, Thursday
I mean,
Tiki.
like everybody's got their home places they need to be loyal to, but
Yeah.
the part of the purpose of this exercise is to get people to start thinking outside of the scenes that they're in and pick people's brains as to if I'm venturing out of town, where are the good places to go? So go ahead.
All right. So there's two places, and one of them's actually not there anymore. Rest in peace, Shaka's. But
Shakas.
anytime we played Shaka's they always made us feel comfortable. And another place, though, which is still, still very much there, is the Norva in Norfolk, Virginia, which the United Souls Band. Shout out to you guys. They actually were the first ones to put Rude Boy Rhythm on that stage. Ross Big Mill, they all
Ross
formed
Bigman
this.
and Gabe Diaz.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And they put us in Norva. And then we got to open up for Badfish there later on. And then we opened up for I want to say we opened up for Hyrie there one time too. But you'd think I'd remember that, but you open up. But the Norva, the cast there, everybody was just excellent. The sound guys, the engineers, everybody, they wanted to make sure that you were okay before they did.
And
it's
a pretty sizable venue, isn't it? I mean, it's not small.
It's not small at all. I look at that picture of us playing there. Well, there's a few pictures of us playing there, but I couldn't believe it. Like, the crowd size, and it didn't seem that big, when you're standing in the crowd, but when you get up on that stage, you really realize. And I'll tell you, this is when Badfish, the time we opened up for Badfish, was the most nervous I had ever been on that stage. And it was like the third or fourth time I've been on that stage before. And I remember walking out there, and it was a sold out show. And the locals, they get there early so they get a good, good standing point, or by the bar or wherever. But I remember, being backstage and looking around the corner and just like my stomach dropping. And then the first thing I do when I get up on there is give them a Ric Flair woo, just to get that out of me, like I was riding a roller coaster. And the whole place erupted, man. And it was just that great feeling. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it was great to spend this time with you. Thank you for sharing yourself with the audience. CNB Reggae has followers all the way between Virginia Beach and Long Island, and for the audience, I will continue to try to flood the site with original content week in, week out. And also don't forget to check out Who's Playing Where, which mostly drops every Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, depending on the complexity of it. And thank you for joining us, Vince. It was nice to have you.
Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you to the rest of CNB family. I appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing y'all soon.
I'm gonna see you when I come down to Point Break.
Awesome. Bring everybody
Take care.
with you.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.